Today I should be mostly talking about double punch. We've all done double punching, where it's essentially this movement here. You throw one punch and then very quickly afterwards another punch. Now, on reviewing, what I've realised is actually that's the precursor to a lot of other things in Wing Chun, both speed and timing wise and energy wise. So let's just go over what the double punch is and what I think it isn't. So one mistake I see people doing a lot when they start to try this technique is we're usually doing it in combination with Bumar, stepping forwards, double punch. People do two punches. It's not quite that, because you need to use the first punch. It almost triggers the second one. The second one, it almost bounces off of the first one. So I can even throw this slowly and still have the correct mechanism happening, as opposed to the slightly more, how shall I put it, sort of where each one is its own separate punch. They need to happen together. Now, even though the second one is bouncing off the first, there should still be contact with both. I haven't got my wall bank set up at the moment, so I can't show you. But when you're training it, and you're training it on the wall bank, which you should, you need to have definitely two hits, not one just sort of the first one grazing off, and then you have the second one, the real punch. You need to have two distinct hits. However, you do have to have the second one bouncing off of the first one, and you can hear it in the rhythm. You should go da-dum. And if you do it quick enough and get fluent enough with it, it'll almost feel like one action rather than 1-2. But like I said, I can still do the correct double punch slowly, because you've got that timing, that bounce. And what I realise is a lot of this filters into other things. So for example, if I do laps out punch and then close in, it's the same timing. I am bouncing off of the first one to go into the second one. You could call it fighting on the half beat or the off beat, like a jazz musician. It's all on the off beat. If I pass the technique onto my rear hand, so a punch comes and it's slightly more curved, but it's not quite hook. So remember, our definition of a hook is anything you've got coming outside of the shoulder, so anything you've forced on the inside. If the punch is coming round past my shoulder, I can't really get on the outside of the punch. It's forcing me on the inside. I have to cover on the inside. That's a hook. But of course, there's a load of shades of grey between a dead straight punch on a hook. So if it's slightly curved, it could be the fist is still within the width of the shoulder, but the elbow is sort of just coming out. You pass the technique onto the rear hand for lap sao or tan sao or wu sao. And it's the same rhythm that's coming on. It could also be if you cover and then pak sao in, any follow-up you do. So the first one could be here, and then you could go low and high, so you end up here and you go bang. It's the same thing. It could be that you, if you take a movement, the Buji movement from the wooden dummy, you open the opponent up, or you cover on the inside, then you strike, it's there. Or it could be bouncing off pak sao punch, or it could even be pak sao punch and then come in the other side. You're here, something comes in and you bounce off this side too. Or it could be you get to here, something comes round, you want to pass it, and it's here. So a lot of this timing, this one thing flowing into another, comes off of the double punch, I think that's where you start to pick up the timing, the fluidity, to start blending things together. Now, in terms of practicing it, one good one to start off with is the double pak sao. So you've probably seen this where you're facing an opponent and you need to get into them. They have one hand forwards and you have the same hand forwards. So if this is their front hand forwards, and my hand is here in a non-aggressive posture, this is the nearest weapon to the target, but it's also having to cover this. So one possibility is to pass it to the rear hand. So in this case, just to clarify, this is their left hand forwards. So this is my left hand, this is their left hand forwards here. So what I'm doing is I'm going, this is on the inside gate, passing it to the rear hand, which will be covering it on the outside gate to allow me to strike here. So I end up covered on the outside gate, which we like to do, and that's the strike. And it's got that same rhythm to it that you get with double punch here. So I like to practice it on a single arm here, and obviously left lead, do it with the right lead too. I also like to, in terms of, if I find myself facing that strike, I like to angle slightly. So, but rather than just leaning, because that compromises our structure, I will lean with a brace. So I'll step, but I might be going forwards. To go forwards, I go forwards and drop my right foot, so I end up at an angle like this. That's personal preference. Now, I also like to do that on two arms here. And the pak saos here are taking them in here. So it takes them forwards and out of any structured stance they've got here, and brings their face closer to my fist, which is always fun. So that's double punch. Once you get that movement, you can then start to put it into other applications once you get that rhythm.